In this segment, we'll show you how to change languages, change engineering units, and we'll examine HMI navigation. Here we're selecting Unit B, English. Just below you can see Unit B, Spanish. We push the Restore and Download button. Now you can see all the Unit B P&ID tags and the language is populated. Now we're going to log in to change language and engineering units. Now you can see the American flag representing English language, the Colombian flag representing Spanish language. You can change language by pushing those buttons. Also, to load Spanish tags, you select the machine and the machine number followed by yes to load Spanish tags. Now you can see all language and tags in Spanish. Now we're going to select secondary engineering units to bring our values forward in metric. You can now see temperature and C and pressure in kilogram force. Now we're going to navigate to the main page. All windows in the unit can be viewed through the main pages. First, we're going to have a look at transmitter setup. You can see minimum and maximum range. You have to be logged in order to change the range. So I'm going to log out and show you that feature. Now you see I'm logged out. Now we're going to select a range and change it. When I push the button, you'll see that it's going to require me to log in. Once logged in, we can change the range. The ranges may not be edited when secondary units are selected. You can see selections for primary and secondary units. These may be changed. Currently, pressure is set up for PSI on primary, and kilogram force on secondary. By touching the button, it'll present a selection if you want to change to a different secondary range, secondary engineering unit, I'm sorry. Now we're going to review alarm and shutdown set points. As you can see on the first page, no alarms are indicated, so these values are for control or indication only. On this page, you can see differential pressure of the suction valve has a high alarm at 15. Yellow is alarm, red is trip. Whenever a value is in an alarm state, you'll see it flashing yellow like you see below. On this page, you can see trips related to the compressor oil pressure. We have a low of 50 alarm, shutdown at 45 indicated in red. These are class B1 timers, which means it will be armed and the alarm will go off after the B1 timer expires, which is 15 seconds after the motor starts. Looking at the suction pressure, you can see a low of 220 and a low of 265. These are Class P. Class Ps are armed and triggered in the compression stage, so they won't trip or set an alarm until you're compressing. The high and the high are Class A, which means they will act at all times. You can see the low trip settings for the scrubbers are at -1. These have to be set at a negative number in order to start the unit. Once the unit is started and you've achieved a level within the scrubber, you can raise your set point so that you'll have a low trip. You can navigate to the gas flow page to see current status of valves, temperatures, and pressures related to the gas. Navigating to the oil flow page, you can see current state of all oil for lubrication and for the frame. Current status of the pumps, hot start, currently hot starts off. You can see all temperatures, differential pressures related to the oil, state of the oil flow, etc. Now we'll have a look at rod loading. You can see high alarm and high trip for rod loading cylinder 1. This is a double acting cylinder. These pages don't need to be referred to after initial setup. Everything's set, and only need to come to these pages is to have a look at the alarm set points. Now we'll have a look at miscellaneous timers and set points. You can see at the top we have 100 psi set for suction differential pressure. If the differential pressure is greater than 100, the interlock valve will open. You can see some valve failure times. Let me change the language. So at the top you see a valve fail time. This valve will fail if it gets a signal to close, and it doesn't do so within 45 seconds. We also have an open fail, you can see on the lower left. Same setting. Valve doesn't open within 45 seconds, you'll have valve failure. On this page you can see settings for the bypass louver control. So the louver will operate between 164 and 230. Also you can see some scrubber dumps. So the one we're looking here is gonna open the dump valve at 73% and then close the dump valve at 27%. This set point is for the compressor auxiliary pump start pressure. When the unit starts, if the pressure is below 48, the auxiliary pump will start. If the pressure is above that point, it will not run. Now we'll have a look at digital input status. You can see every machine input indicated by PLC rack and slot number. Red means the signal is off, green means the signal is on. I'm pushing the reset button so you can see the signal come high, and also you'll see a timestamp on the alarm screen. Now we'll have a look at analog input status. You can see the actual value of every 4 to 20 milliamp input for machine troubleshooting. Now we're going to have a look at the active alarm screen. The letter A, the far left, indicates which alarms and trips are active, yellow being alarms, red being trips. In the bottom, you can see your first out indication, which indicates the actual trip that caused the machine shutdown. Looking at the alarm history, you can see the time of the alarm and the applicable device. The alarm history can store up to 1,000 alarms. Once I have changed the language and hit the reset button, you'll see the alarms in Spanish.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo.
Now we're going to discuss the use of manual override. Output forcing is not allowed when an ESD condition exists. There are two ESD conditions, the button on the panel and the remote ESD from the DCS. The ESD condition will now be removed and we'll be able to use output forcing. Output forcing may only be used when the machine is not running and there are no ESD conditions. Touch the yellow bar to activate forcing. Then push the blue button to activate the 15-minute timer. You can add time by pushing the blue button again, that adds time, or the reset button. In this mode, you may force any digital output and also any analog output. You have to touch the activate button below the analog signal, enter a value. Here you see I entered 12 milliamps. Now 12 milliamps is being driven to the output. Turn it off and the PLC value that the program is operating will come back. We're ready to start the machine now. First, we remove all the shutdowns so we can start the machine. You have a look at the flow diagram to see which valves are faulted before we start. Once you've cleared the trips, navigate to Process Overview and read the banner. The banner at the top of the page will always tell you current state of the machine. Now you can see that the operator action is required. We need to unlatch the blowdown valve and the two discharge scrubber drain valves. When we unlatch those solenoids, the sequence will advance automatically. Now that the blowdown and the scrubber dump valves have been unlatched, you see that the sequence has advanced to step 6. Step 6 is indicating operator action required. We now need to unlatch the suction valve and the discharge valve interlock. There is no wired automatic feedback from the suction and discharge interlock valves. Once we have unlatched the valves, we have to press the button on the lower right of the HMI to let the sequence know that we have unlatched the valves, and the sequence will advance.
Fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que
Now that we have the valves unlatched, the sequence has advanced, we can see that there's a shutdown exists. You need to clear the shutdown by hitting the reset button or whatever is causing the reason for the shutdown, and we'll be ready for the next step. After depressing the reset button, we can see there are no more trips. Now the unit needs to be purged before moving forward. CSI will train you on manual purge. Once the purge is complete, you need to press the manual purge complete button to advance the sequence. Now that the purge has been confirmed, the unit is ready to start. However, we see a differential pressure situation we need to deal with, then we'll be able to start the unit. Unit is now ready to start by depressing the green start button. The unit has started. You'll see in the banner but it's going through its process of warming up the oil, warming up the engine. Now we need to open the bypass, operator action required. Now we're changing the state of the cylinders. Units running unloaded will warm up for 30 seconds. And then we'll be ready to load.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo y la luz de la luna en el mar, la garganta que ansió mojar, que temo ahogar de amor. Este celos me vas a dar, oh, dices tú, mi tesoro, basta con mirarlo, tuyo será, tuyo será. Soy el fuego que arde.
Now we've pressed the load button. You watch the banner, and you'll see the machine step through the sequences. Opens the discharge valve, opens the suction valve, and then we'll load the cylinders.
La garganta que ansió mojar, que temo ahogar de amor. Este celos me vas a dar, oh, dices tú, mi tesoro, basta con mirarlo, tuyo será.
After the suction valve is open, the bypass valve will close automatically, as shown on the banner.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel,
Unit is now in the loaded state.
que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire.
The motor speed is an automatic operation, and the loading suction selection has been made. You can see that the control variable output of the PID is related to pulling the suction down to the set point. The unit may be operated in both suction and discharge mode, and the low selector of the two control variables will be the output to the motor speed. At the moment, the unit is running in suction control. Now turning off discharge. In automatic mode, the motor speed will be determined by the control variable output of the PID. The motor may also be run in manual mode, selecting manual operation and then adjusting the set point for the desired speed. Changing motor speed from manual to auto is a bumpless operation. Cylinder loaders may be operated in automatic or manual mode. In automatic mode, the first cylinder loads at the current set point of 70, the value of the CV. The second cylinder will load 30 seconds later. The unloading is at 30. 30 seconds later, the second will unload. In manual, value of 0 is unloaded. Value of 1 means cylinder 1 is loaded. Value of 2 means cylinder 2 is loaded. You can see by looking at the output curve, a small disturbance occurs when a cylinder loader engages. Shortly after the loader engages, you see the PID is tuned properly so that the output flattens out right away. For PID tuning, consult Murphy's sequence of operation or speak to your resident instrument engineer for calculations of PID tuning. You may use the forward and back buttons below the trending screen to see the recent history of the output curve.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo, y la luz de la luna en el mar, la garganta que ansio mojar, que temo ahogar de amor. Igual este celo me vas a dar. Oh, dices tú, mi tesoro, basta con mirarlo, tuyo será, tuyo será. Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre.
In this section, we'll discuss how to use test mode. You can see that I've activated test mode. Test mode has a timer that you push the button to engage for 15 minutes. Once you've started test mode, you can start individual test mode or global. Here I've selected digital input test mode. I'm going to select the oil level switch. I'll touch the switch. You see the timestamp indicated we went into test mode. It's highlighted in a red bar. That means that the input is in test mode and it's bypassed from tripping the machine. Now I'll remove a fuse to create a trip. You can see that the trip occurred, but you can see in the banner the unit's still running loaded. Now I'll hit the reset button to clear out the fault after I've restored the fuse. Unit's cleared out now. Now I'll go back to test mode, disable test mode, and the unit will continue running without any interruption.